Yo, what's up guys, JQ with Tech Creation. Samsung released the Gear S2, which is their first Tizen based smartwatch that's no longer exclusive to Samsung devices only and is compatible with not all, but a wide range of Android smartphones running Android 4.4 and up, in which you can grab the Gear app down in the description below, as well as a list of compatible devices. The biggest difference from the Gear S and the Gear S2 is not only the size, but the rotating dial for navigation. It has a series of clicks, making it feel very intuitive, and it reminds me of the rotary phones way back in the day. It's enjoyable to use nonetheless, and I love this design. What's key here is not only do your fingers not touch the screen, but it's also perfect if, let's say, you happen to be wearing a pair of gloves. I think they took what Apple tried to do with the digital crown and did it better, in my opinion. Now for anyone who's interested in specs, I'll get those out the way. So it has a 300 mAh battery that Samsung promises 1 to 3 days of battery life, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but so far I'm impressed. An accelerometer, a barometer, a gyroscope, ambient light sensor, a 1.2-inch Super AMOLED screen. It comes equipped with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.1, NFC, and it's IP68 water resistant. This is the sport version, meaning that it's durable, and you can swap the bands on this model, but only with Samsung's included smaller bands. It comes in a classic model as well, and there's a 3G model that comes out later this year where you can speak into the watch using a 3G connection. But keep in mind, they're all the same size, very small. Onto the anatomy of it, the bottom button, which is called the home button, is what you use to power it on, and it's also what you use to swing open your apps in a rotary fashion. The top button is to go back to your previous screen, with an equivalent gesture of just swiping down. Now you can assign a shortcut to launch with a double press of the home button, so I assigned it to recent apps, so this way I can close them out all at once. But you have plenty of other options to choose from, like Launch S-Voice for example. By turning the dial, it nicely scrolls through the available apps and shortcuts, and by swiping left and right it achieves the same effect. You can however change the arrangement of the apps in the Gear app itself on your smartphone, which is a lot cleaner than before, I must say. Even the watch faces are nicely laid out with variety, and you're offered a great deal of customization with the ability to create your own watch face, which is close to on par with the Android Wear app on the Play Store. Now some of the watch faces you can interact with, which I sort of geeked out to, and I kinda like it. There's currently 1,000 apps optimized for the Gear S2, so you can spend some time exploring until your heart's content. The watch comes preloaded with the Nike running app that's optimized for the watch as well, but most people might not even need it, since the watch itself pretty much does everything the Nike app does. But it's always an option, and if you have the Nike app already on your phone, then feel free to go ahead and use it. Now I mentioned this in another video, heart rate monitors on a smartwatch aren't that accurate compared to an EKG chest strap that athletes use, so I'd use it with a grain of salt and for estimations at best. But it's perfect to measure your steps, set step and calorie goals, and measure your water and coffee intake. So a smartwatch is built around notifications. So when you receive a text message, for example, to respond on this watch, you have the old-fashioned T9 way of typing, which I understand because you obviously can't fit a full-size QWERTY keyboard layout. But I don't ever see myself typing in this because number one, it's not practical, and number two, it's extremely difficult to type. Even with the rotary keyboard options in the settings, it just wasn't working out. Good thing Samsung knows this, so you also have built-in response phrases that you can use. You can also use the set of emojis built in for all sorts of expressions, mostly facial ones though. If all else fails, you can always respond using your voice, which I think is more ideal for a smartwatch. I found the audio pickup to be pretty decent. You can put the display to sleep by putting your palm over it, but there's really no point to this, being that the display goes to sleep once you put your arm down anyway. You can also enable a lock screen in the settings. I personally don't see a need for it, so I don't use it. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to test out the NFC with Samsung Pay because Samsung Pay is currently limited and only supports around 3 banks. It's very unfortunate, but maybe I'll try it sometime in the future. It also comes with a magnetic wireless charging dock that looks all too familiar. It looks just like the Moto 360 dock, and I've always liked the clean look of this setup. And it charges pretty quick too. So at first I thought the watch was way too small for my wrist, but I actually fell in love with the fluidity of the watch, and I actually like Samsung's Tizen OS and the rotary dial. It really makes for a great experience for a smartwatch, and it makes sense. And compared to the other smartwatches that are available right now, it's not always the occasion to wear something like the Moto 360 or the Huawei watch, because they can be a little too dressy. So it's nice to have something comfortable, because I was always looking for a smartwatch that I can wear on a daily basis. And I think this just might be the one, although I might change my mind tomorrow, who knows. So you guys probably might want to know about the battery. Samsung claimed 1 to 3 days, and it's actually pretty true. When I first took this out the box, it lasted me a day and a half. And when I did charge it, I got 2 days of use out of it. So I've been very pleased with the battery life thus far. So who is this smartwatch for? Well, this is for anyone who wants a minimalistic, lightweight, subtle smartwatch that's durable. And because of its size, I can see this being a perfect gift for teenagers or ladies. Only because it looks a little small on a man's wrist, and generally speaking, most men would prefer bigger watch faces. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to show some love to that like button down below, and I'll leave a lot more details in the description in case anyone happens to be interested. If you haven't done so, be sure to subscribe for weekly content. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.